still like construction?
Oh, I love it.
We had this tremendous week of getting to know them and celebrating with them, building them a new building up in the Highlands in 1999. But that building sat empty for 15 years. And during those 15 years, I'd go by and see that building every year. And every year something would be torn off of it, or the windows would be broken, or the doors would be ripped off its hinges. And then the last time I went up there, somebody had ripped all the roof sheets off the building to sell them for scrap. And so my heart was broken with this thing that me and the people of Teresita had invested so much energy into building this building. So when I suggested that we move that building down to where they live, they were all for it. And they found a spot, and that's what we did on this trip, was to build them, to take that old building and rebuild it with some modifications to meet what they needed down where they live now.
So the building was initially built in 1999, way up on the mountain, and in the midst of land that was, earmarked for this community to have and to live there and to cultivate. For various reasons, that just never became possible for them to move there. So the building sat empty for many years.
It just was really moving to me to hear my son Nathan talk about what his experience in Santa Teresita on his very first trip when he was 16, 15, 16. And seeing that now, 15 years later, and processing it now as an adult, thinking back on that trip that made such a big impression on him, seeing how that has become part of his life and part of his thinking and part of his education and worldview.
Honestly, I was a bit in shock for most of that week, and like I said, it transformed for me, just my understanding of the world that we live in, to see how people, particularly, I don't know if these are the poorest of the poor in this area, but, they're certainly the poor in this area, and to see how they live,
And to be with them on this journey and to keep in touch with them. And that's what made this trip so meaningful, because we have this 15-year history. And, hugging those people who almost didn't want to let go of us. And they were crying, and I was crying, and it was very meaningful.
Gringos come down here and put a building up, it's not going to be the same, I don't think. But if we just bring the supplies and the knowledge of it, and then they do it, I think it means way more to them. And then making them happy to see, we're not coming down here and helping them. We're both getting something out of it.
I'm glad God blesses our ignorant efforts, because it felt like sometimes in those early days we were trying to see how fast we could put a building up. And Jeremy and I actually raced through a building in 2.5 days one time. And it's so exciting now to slow it down and make sure everybody gets to be involved. whole vision is this is their building, it's not mine, and I want them to own it. And the only way I feel like they can own it is like, how do I own something? I participate in it, I get involved in it. And if I'd not participated, if you just slap something on me, just give it to me, I'm not connected to it.
They want to involve themselves, you know. So, but if you just come in here and put a building up and not involve them, then they don't. I don't know. I think they want to be able to look at something and say, I did that, and it's like I do it at home. You know, when I drive by a building, I put that together, or I did the concrete there, and the same thing. When they go by this building, they'll remember it. You know, they'll tell their kids about it.
Mama.
The games that they play in the river, they taught me how to fish. That was one of the most fun things. Just a group of kids were like, hold this, do this, and trying to teach me how to catch these little fish in like a tablecloth, it looked like. And just how they're just willing to share so much is incredible.
And some of the girls, they wanted to learn some English, so they'd ask me some questions, and I knew their names, and they'd see me every time I'd come down. They knew I was Kara Kara, and they'd come running to me and hold my hand.
The real value that you take away from that time you spend working on that together is not the product. It's not the building, but the real value is in the relationship that you build.